Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Bayonets of the World. I'm Mike B, and today we're going to be taking a look at the German S98, or Seitengewehr 98. This is the bayonet that was originally designed for the Gewehr 98 rifle, the Mauser rifle that still pretty much most every modern bolt action is designed off of. And there's a really cool story behind this. If you've watched my other video on the French Rosalie bayonet for the Lebel 1886-93 and the Berthier rifles, you'll know that back then in the late 19th century, they thought that he who had the most reach wins. Since the Gewehr 98 is actually shorter slightly than the 1886-93, the Germans said, okay, well, if that's true, we need to make a bayonet that's heinously as long as the Rosalie on the Lebel, because France would be our most viable enemy. After the Franco-Prussian War, there's a lot of hard feelings, we'll say, to put it lightly, between the Germans and the French, or the Germanic states, we'll say. I know Germany wasn't a thing. You don't have to get all technical, but you know what I'm talking about when I say Germany at that point. So, yeah, this thing is like an astounding, 18 inches long, right? And you'll notice the handle actually looks like every other 98 bayonet before, the 1930s. It's got the little handguard right there, or whatever you want to call it. It's not really a hook. It's got the bayonet release button right there. You can see that there's a marking on there. So this is made, weirdly enough, in Solingen. I'm trying to get it to focus. Anyway, so that's the maker mark. And if we turn this over, just like on the 9805, to the year of manufacture, which this is 1906. So this is a very old bayonet. And you'll notice that there's a fuller the whole length down. And then we get to this weird little area in the blade where, if you can see that, the fuller kind of tilts away, and we've got another little thing that comes up on the top. So if you can see that, it looks kind of strange. It gets wider on the top than it does anywhere else at the very end. So I think this is just a weight thing and an initial penetration thing, because there's really no other explanation I can find for it. This thing is really, it's like a short sword, but it's like a really thin short sword, you know? This is, it's probably only about an inch wide or around an inch wide. Really not that wide at all. So it's very thin. The problem they have with these is just like the Rosalie, it's long and it's skinny, and oftentimes they break, right? So you'll see a lot of these that were broken, that got shortened down to about like this, as a fighting knife, and they'd hone the edge and everything and put a new point on it and use this as a fighting knife. Same with the Rosalie, they use those as fighting knives. So the scabbard, if you're really concerned about that, is just the standard leather scabbard of the late 19th century. It's pretty similar to most other Mauser bayonets at that time. There's a little hook to attach the frog onto. So, yeah. Basically, these were issued in World War I, definitely, most definitely. But they were really rapidly kind of phased out by the S9805, or the Butcher Blade. You can go look at my video on that if you haven't seen that and don't know what I'm talking about. So these were actually used by a lot of reserve units, and the Landsturm probably used these if they had 98s, which a lot of units did. These weren't necessarily intended to be for frontline troops. It did happen. I'm not going to say that it never happened, because it did. These just weren't the norm, because they figured out that they actually break. So you're going to see a lot more of these at the beginning of the war than you are at the very end. The very end, the 9805, it's a beast of a bayonet, and therefore it performed a lot better. So that's why they decided to kind of favor that. Again, go through all the pictures that you can of World War I German soldiers, or Prussian, or whatever you want to call it, soldiers, and you'll see that most of the bayonets are the 9805s and not the 98s, which is interesting. Just want to thank Dakota, as you guys know him, my friend, for letting me borrow this to make the video on. This actually isn't mine, sadly enough. These are really getting hard to get. These are like $200+ now, because there just aren't a lot of them. They either got recycled or broken or just lost. So they're pretty collectible, especially in this good a condition. And the date on there is just awesome, 1906. It's just so sweet. So I'll just give you some close-ups of the detail of this. Kind of see the blade here. Yeah, so there's where that starts at the end. You can see it's pretty much like 3/4 of the way down the blade. Got a nice close-up focus on here. Yeah, it's just insane. So this is definitely a stabbing bayonet. The 9805 is both a stabbing and slashing bayonet. And it can be used as an actual fighting knife. It's long, but it's like a short sword, and it's got a lot of the weight at the end. Whereas this would kind of suck as a fighting knife. It's just long and skinny. So I'll keep this video nice and short. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you haven't already, hit that like button on the video and subscribe to my channel for more sweet videos. Hope you learned something. I just gave the brief rundown on this thing. You can go look at other sources to find out like who actually designed this, the person. I just kind of wanted to give you the brief history so you know what you're looking at. Say if you go to like a gun show or an antique shop or something and you see that these are there, this is what they used. And yeah, so I hope you learned something. And I also hope you consider supporting me on Patreon. This channel runs mostly on self-funding, but crowdfunding really helps me be able to get stuff. Hopefully I can get one of these in the future, and maybe we can do some stabby stab tests with it. I don't want to do it to this because it's not mine, but and then it helps me buy like ammunition, targets, stuff like that, production costs for the channel. So while I do fund most of the channel myself, crowdfunding really does help. So just $1 a month, don't have to do any more than that. Gets you in on Patreon. I'll put the link to that in the description. And it helps keep the channel going and makes this viable. So thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next video.